Throughout the course of my online history class, I've been reintroduced to many interesting topics that I haven't learnt or spoken about in a couple of years. Now, there are one or two subjects that appeal to me more than others due to their relevancy not only in the course of history, but in our current world today too. My subject of choice to write about was racism in America, but more specifically, Harriet Tubman, the role she played, and the influence she had on many African Americans at the time. As I just stated, I chose this topic based on its relevancy in today's world too, and with the global Black Lives Matter movement and protests, I thought it was an appropriate subject to cover. This conflict we are experiencing today is built from many generations of disparity and oppression. African Americans have suffered greatly in America since the 1800s, and even though slavery has been abolished, racism still plays a big role in American society today. There are many great influences and leaders who we can look back to and learn from in these hard times, with Harriet Tubman being one of them. Tubman was an American abolitionist and political activist who was born into slavery. Once she escaped, however, she did not think about the safety of herself, but the safety of others, and subsequently made roughly 13 journeys to rescue about 70 enslaved people, which included family and friends. Tubman created what is known as the Underground Railroad, which was a network of anti-slavery activists and safe houses that she was able to bounce in between to help slaves escape. One of the most notable aspects of Harriet Tubman is how selfless she was. Everything she did for others. Once she escaped, she immediately started trying to help other slaves who were struggling through what she had once experienced. A great yet horrible example of a display of Tubman's selflessness was when she was much younger. She had heard a slave was going to try and escape, so she wanted to be around in case something went wrong. When the slave tried to escape, the master realized what was going on and threw a 2-pound iron weight through the air toward them. Seeing what was unfolding, Tubman ran to block the overseer's path, resulting in the weight smashing her in the head, knocking her out cold, and fracturing her skull. She was in a very fragile state for a long time after this, and nobody knew if she would live or die. Fortunately, over time, the wound healed, and Tubman was okay. Because Tubman was born into slavery, for the first few years of her life, she didn't question it, as she didn't know any better. However, this did not last long, as at around the age of 6, she realized her life lay at the disposal of the master. Once she escaped, she made it her goal to help as many people as she could. Many of these trips happened in the wintertime too, which made the suffering much more intense. Even later on in life, when she had stopped doing her work along the Underground Railroad, she served in the army and was working in the medical wing helping the wounded. After learning all this, it also taught me how it was the collective of many influential leaders whom Harriet Tubman spoke among that helped us progress as far from this dark past as we have gotten. There is still a big problem with racism and discrimination toward African Americans currently in America, and I believe if we look back upon teachings and actions that people like Tubman demonstrated, we could learn a lot from it and attempt to use these teachings to better the future for African Americans and other victims of discrimination.